to be working today. No problem. Okay, welcome everybody. This is our presentation webinar on applying for universities all over the world. Now, the main intention of this webinar is to well help our students here at Manarat Al Medina, introduce you to some of the systems and supports that we have in the school. Some of them are new, some of them we've always done, but perhaps we didn't tell everyone about it in an organized way. And also, we opened the workshop or the webinar to people from outside the school, in case it helps anyone who's not a member of the school as well. Before we start, I'd like you to all go into your chat and just tell me your name, which school you're from, and if you're a student, write what grade you're in. If you're a member of staff at any school, tell us, teacher at XYZ school. So tell me who you are in the chat. Oh, welcome from Al Khobar. I was in Al Khobar about 3 weeks ago. And welcome to our students as well who've joined us. Great to see students in grade 9. Fantastic to see you thinking about university applications at this early stage. That's great. And grade 10 as well. Welcome from Jeddah. You probably know I was in Jeddah before. Very warm welcome to our friends from Jeddah. Okay. And Riyadh as well, fantastic. We're from all over the country. So let me start by telling you a bit about myself in a very, well, not so serious way. It's me, Education Executive Officer at Manarat Al Medina International School. I haven't always been indecisive, but as you can see there on my slightly humorous list, have gone through stages of not knowing what I want to do, knowing what I want to do, and changing my mind a lot. When I was very little, I wanted to be an astronaut, and then I decided I wanted to be a computer programmer, loved computers. And then in grade 12, so imagine grade 10, I've selected all my A-levels and my GCSEs based on wanting to be a computer programmer. Grade 12, someone told me that actuaries make loads of money. And so I changed my mind and actually joined university to study actuarial science. If you don't know what that is, it's about assessing risk, using math to assess financial risk. Then I actually didn't complete that course. I changed my mind again and decided that I wanted to study Islam abroad. Actually, one of the places I wanted to study was Medina, where I am now. And I left university, and eventually that didn't work out. And so I ended up being a retail buyer, buying pet toys and cleaning products, and eventually was made redundant and tried to be a recruitment consultant. Didn't like it at all. And then decided I wanted to be a teacher. And then since then, that's been something I've been stable and settled in since the last decade. Graduated first class honours in primary education in Birmingham. Then, as a personal interest, studied translation studies in Portsmouth. And now I'm a doctoral student at the University of Bath. The reason why I'm showing you all these things, it's not just because I like to talk about myself, and maybe I do a little bit. It's to show you that you often don't know where you're going to end up in the future. And so it's important to always keep whatever doors open that you can. As an example, I often have students come to me and they want to maybe drop a subject or two, and because they don't need it for what they want to do right now. And I often advise them to keep their doors open, keep their CV as strong as possible, because you never know where you're going to end up. Another example is a student of mine. He wanted to not do the 3 sciences, for example. And at that time, to get into, we were in Jeddah, so to get into King Abdulaziz University, you needed to have studied 3 sciences, not 2, not joint science. And so I spoke to his father and the young gentleman together, and he said, well, I'm going to go to private university. I'm not going to go to King Abdulaziz. So why do I need 3 sciences? I don't need it. It's true. However, his dad was a wise man and he said, well, you don't know. Right now, we can afford private university. Next year, in 2 years' time, who knows? Maybe you'll be having to go to a government university and you need to keep your options open. So all these things, things can change. Things can change at home. Things can change in your wants and your needs. The whole world can change. Look at Corona. So keep your options open as much as you're able to. Yeah, so our agenda today, what we're going to look at is selecting a university, from selecting based on the country, selecting a course, selecting an actual university, how you go about meeting the requirements, the application process. Now, in this webinar, we're not going to be able to talk about the application process in every country in the world. From the people here, you might, I can see 15 people right now, you might study in 15 different countries. If we had more attendance, if we had 100, you might choose 100 different countries to go to. So we're not going to be able to tell you the precise application process in every country, but what the principles that we do give you should help you to know about the application process in all the countries. The next thing we're going to discuss is really important, and that's about how to write a great personal statement, which is a key part of any university application, about getting references. And then I'll share with you some resources that I've found really useful. The session's recorded, so we'll share it with everyone later. There are some subtitles, as you can see, on the bottom of the screen. I don't know how accurate they are. They are produced automatically as I speak. So apologies if there's any errors, but I thought it was a good idea for anybody that can't understand English to have some subtitles. So first of all, selecting a university. The first thing you might want to look at is which country to study at. And I'm going to play for you a little video. If you can't hear the audio once the or if you do hear the audio when it starts, please tell me in the chat that the audio is fine, because I hope I've set the right setting to broadcast the audio through this presentation. So I'm going to take a little video of one young lady's decision process of how she chose her country to study at.
Hi, I'm Elena, and I'm an IB graduate from Jakarta, Indonesia. So last year, I chose to apply to several different countries, and as an indecisive person, I found it extremely difficult to decide on where to actually study in as an international student. Some of my top options include Yale and US College in Singapore, UCL in the UK, a scholarship offer in Canada, as well as UCLA, which is where I am currently studying in. So I would just to summarize, my main tips is that I would recommend that you choose the factors that are most important to you, envision if you would actually be happy in the institution of your choice, and just make your decision from there. So personally, I considered my family situation, the academics, the organizations that I hope to be part of on campus, and also the social scene. And to do this, I asked a lot of students who were already studying in the institution and just researched a lot online. With that method, I wish you the best of luck in choosing your university.
Sir, you're muted.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, that's one student's perspective. You may have heard some crashing in the background. That was her video, not me, I promise. Thank you for the feedback on the chat about the audio. One way to look at which country to study at.
Hi, I'm Elena.
So I gathered 8 things. First thing, finances. Now, this can be looked at in 2 ways. If you're looking at scholarships, then some countries may be open to you for scholarship, and that's going to really narrow the list down based on what scholarships are available. So that's one side of finances. The other side is that the costs of studying abroad can vary, and keep in mind of all the costs. You've got tuition fees, which depending on the country can be up to $20,000. You've got the living cost of rent, of food, how many times you want to visit home each year is going to all have a bearing on cost and finances. So that's one thing to consider. Language is another one. If you're an English speaker, you may prefer to only look at English-speaking countries. But on the other hand, you may also want to experience a language which you think is going to be useful in the future. Perhaps you see Mandarin as being a leading language of the future and want to study in a Mandarin-speaking country. That's not advice, that's just an example from the top of my head. Friends and support networks, other students, certain locations have big, strong communities of particular students in that town or city. A lot of that is related to where people can get scholarships. So you might prefer to be amongst people that you are familiar with the culture, familiar with them, or you might have a network of friends who have already gone and studied at a place, or extended family. Travel preferences. You may have always wanted to live and travel to a particular place, and that could be a good reason for selecting a country. Extracurricular activities. There might be options for activities which are suitable for your interests. Perhaps you love rugby. Not sure many people do love rugby here, but if you do, and you might find that New Zealand is a great place, or Wales is a great place to study because you're going to be able to play some rugby, or you'll go to Australia because you can take advantage of the surfing there. College links. Again, there are 2 sides to college links. It may be that your school has links to particular colleges, and that will affect what this is more about selecting colleges than countries really. But like Ma'arif, for example, are building some links over the next year, and Ma'arif students will find out about this next year, or over the coming year, and so that might be a thing. That is a reason for selecting a particular place. On the other hand as well, there's colleges or universities that have links with industry, have very strong links with industry, and that employability may impact on your decision on where to study. For example, I know one of the big firms in London, the big accountancy firms, they really only hire from 3 universities. One of them. So it's that could have an impact on your decision on where to study. Course content, study methodology. This one, if I give the example of myself, I really don't like exams. Honestly, to take exams, because I can never remember the things that I revise. Now, for me, to study in a place which doesn't use lots of exams in their assessment methods is good for me. So when I was in the UK, I took in my bachelor's course 1 exam in math, 1 year, that was it. And the other units were assessed by essays, research. That suited me. But you might be an exam person, and different methods of study might suit you. So the way the material is studied, the methodology might affect where you want to study as well, and also application requirements. It may be that you meet the application requirements in a particular place, but but not in another place. And that's about the country, and something about choosing particular universities as well. If we want to just focus in and look at how to select universities, there are many things to consider. You may select a university, like we said before, because it's part of a list of approved scholarship universities. You may select a university because it has a reputation with your family. Perhaps your parents studied there, or your brothers and sisters. It may have those links of industry. Sometimes you don't know anything about the university. Sometimes you don't know anything about the university, and you need a way to assess how strong the university is. And there are a few ways to do that. And I'll show you some websites now, which you can use. And I want you to, these rankings, they don't mean everything. You may find that a really low ranked university has a course which is so tailored for your interests that you want to apply to it anyway, even though the ranking isn't high. And these rankings, because rankings, a lot of rankings are based on criteria, it's very possible for a university to meet those criteria, specifically those criteria, and forget things which aren't measured. So take these with a pinch of salt, but they do give you an idea. So we've got world university rankings that rank universities all over the world on one table. We've got reputation rankings as well. Reputation is, what do other people in the university field think about that university? Do they think it's good? Do they think it's bad? Regional rankings. So once you've decided which country you want to study in, you can zero in on that country and look at the rankings of that country. And there's student experience rankings. Now, I love student experience rankings because that is from the voice of the people studying in the university, and really will show you the sort of support that you're going to get as a student in university. I'll show you a world university ranking. Well, like this is the most well-known one, top university, QS rankings, topuniversities.com. Let me switch to my website. On this one, you can just go straight into rankings by clicking this button and look at who are the top universities in the world. You can search for a particular university that you like. There are hundreds of universities here from all countries. As you can see, MIT at the top, Oxford and Cambridge, Stanford, Harvard, usually the top ones. You can do it by place. You can enter your country and zero in on the country. You can even type in a university. So if I type in my own one, it's not a hugely highly ranked university, University of Bath, there, 166. So you can find the ranking that way. If you click on it, you get more detail of how they're ranked. Yes, I will share the link. In fact, I'll probably share the, you can see it's topuniversities.com. Let me copy and paste it into the chat. Copy and paste. There you go. That's the link here. You can even do it by subject. Sorry, before you do it by subject, you can look at the rankings indicators. And that's an important thing. If you ever look at a university ranking, don't just look at their score, look at how they measure it. Look at, for this one, for example, they're doing it by international faculty ratios, international student ratios, research output, so citations per faculty, reputation, employability. So you may find some things which I mentioned here are not so important for you, so you might want to look by a different criteria. You can do it by, like I said, by university, or if you go to rankings, go to the rankings by subject, and you can search for the field you want. So for example, I'll click here for civil engineering, and then I get all of the top ranked universities in engineering, which are often the same as the general ones, but sometimes you get some surprises there as well. So that's university rankings. Another one which is useful is this one. This is it will rank slightly differently because the criteria are different. This is the THE, World Reputation Rankings. Now, World Reputation Rankings are people like professors in other universities. They are asked how they see this university to be in terms of its prestige. If you're looking in the future to perhaps teach in universities, this might be useful to you because you want to select a prestigious university that's seen prestigious amongst academics. That's another one, which is a useful one as well. And I'll copy that into the chat. There you go. Another way of looking at rankings are the regional websites. There are lots of different regional ones. Here's the UK example. I can't give you all of the regional ones for every country, but whichever country you're interested in, you can go and search for example, you want to look at Japan university rankings and have a look there. In the UK, The Guardian's quite famous for ranking universities. And they have, as you can see, satisfaction ratings as well, which is very nice. And National Student Survey is another one. National Student Survey is all about satisfaction, all about student satisfaction. And so there are others for other countries, so have a look at them. That will help you decide the universities. The other thing as well, like I said, rankings aren't everything. Look at, if you're interested in a particular course, if I'm interested in business administration, look at business administration modules that are studied in the different universities you're interested in. So once you get your shortlist, maybe the modules which are studied in Cass Business School, for example, are more interesting to you than the modules that are studied in London School of Economics. So have a look at the course outlines, what modules are studied in those places, and that will help you make an informed decision about the course that you like. Okay, so once I know where I want to study, the university I want to study or the place where I want to study, now what do? Well, I need to make sure that I meet the requirements for that university. And first rule here is Google is your friend. Go into Google, type, the great thing about Google is you don't need to, just type in, for example, MIT, and then go to the MIT website, and then go to the faculties, and then go to the admission requirements. Just type into Google, admission requirements, MIT, engineering faculty, and you'll go straight to the page. Another good way is to, of course, call the university or visit the university. Now, this may sound obvious, but if you're calling a university, make sure you are speaking to the right person, to the person that knows what they're talking about. I've lost count of how many times I've called a university and the person has given me an answer, but really the person on the end of the phone, other end of the phone, didn't know the answer. So make sure that you're speaking to the right faculty, you're speaking to the admissions department, you're speaking to the right people who can give you an accurate answer, because sometimes people answer the phone and they want to show that they know, and sometimes they don't know. More effective than calling often is to visit. Go take it. Obviously, if the university is far away, then that's not possible. But if you can visit the university, do so. And many universities arrange open days, both online and face-to-face now. So online open days really open days really became popular during Corona time, and so to attend an online roadshow is always a good thing. For sure, the question came back: is there a good chance to find a good university in Europe to study medicine? Absolutely. Go to that world topuniversities.com. Plug in medicine and you'll see a whole load of countries there. Now, the other part is, can you get funding for it? There are scholarship search engines, which I'll share separately. It isn't in this slide, but there are scholarship search engines we can use to find how we can fund studying in these places. Visit the university. Once you know the requirements of different universities, the ones you're going to apply to are the ones that will have the requirements which are achievable for you. That's important, to choose what's achievable. And always, when you're looking at some websites, you may find there are no requirements because they review all applications based on merit. So they'll look at your whole application, they'll look at your personal statement, they'll look at your references, they'll look at your grades, they'll look at everything and then make a decision as a whole. So they don't publish requirements. Some universities also will have optional requirements. For example, a third of universities in the States, in America, are now what they call SAT optional. Last time I checked, it was a third. It might be more now since Corona. So SAT optional means you don't have to have any SAT score to apply for the university. I can see that my subtitles are a mess. SOT, okay. You don't have to have any SAT scores to apply for the university, but optional means they will look at it if you show it to them. So in many cases, an admissions officer has, for example, 200 places to give to students, and a few of them, a smaller number for international students. They'll get 2 applications. If the applicants look about equal, the personal statements are about the same sort of quality, the grades are about the same. If one person has SAT compared to against another one who doesn't, I'm not saying that SAT will mean that they will get the entry, but anything that you can have to show that you've put that effort into preparing for college is a good thing to have. So even if they're optional requirements, there can be some good merit in that. Good question. What happens if I graduate and still don't know what I want to be? I probably had the same situation, and it really depends on where you plan to work and where you plan to study. Because in many countries, your master's doesn't have to match your bachelor's, and so it's fine to change tracks. So yeah, I've changed tracks in the past twice, so there's plenty of opportunity to change tracks. So don't worry about being indecisive, but the way to be sure is often to get more experience in that field. Okay, so the application process, again, depends on the country you're applying to. Some countries have a centralized system, some countries have a decentralized system. An example of a centralized system would be the UK, and I'll show that example in a minute, who have Ucas. Everyone applies through Ucas. Check based on the country, because and I'll show you some resources for finding out all the information for different countries, to find out what their application process is. Some of them have a limit to how many universities you can apply to. For example, in the UK, it's 5. Some may respond at different times, and some may review it at different times, and check the deadline of when you should apply. This is generally for every system, you should check the deadline. I'll give you an example from my own experience. I applied for primary education in a university that was right next to my home. I really wanted to go to it, and I applied through Ucas. Good question. I'll have a look at that in a minute. I applied for Ucas. After applying and meeting a deadline, visited the university for an open day, and the person there said to me, well, you do realize that you're applying for next year, don't you? And I had no idea. They'd already allocated all the places. Now, that doesn't happen anymore in the UK. They're supposed to review every application that comes in before the deadline. They can't allocate all their places before the deadline's over, but check based on the country. It may be that other countries who have centralized system will do a first come first serve basis. If they see enough strong candidates early on, they may give all their places out. So be aware of that. If you're applying in such a system, you don't want to wait to the very end of the deadline. And there's decentralized systems. So basically you can apply in some countries directly to the university. There's no limit to how many universities you can apply to, but some decentralized systems also use centralized systems. The example here is the USA. It's a decentralized system, but they have a common application for many universities, and I'll show you that example in a minute. Even though it's decentralized, there's a single application system you can use to send your application to universities. Here's the example of UK. If you're applying to the UK, you're going to apply through Ucas online system. The deadline for applications is 26th of January right now. Oxbridge, so that means Oxford and Cambridge, their deadline's earlier. You can apply for up to 5 courses, but if you're applying to Cambridge or Oxford, you can only apply to one of them. You can't say Oxford is my first choice and Cambridge is my second. They don't like that. No, Cambridge do not want to be anybody's second choice, so you have to choose one. And if you're applying this year, for the next academic year, you'll enter into Ucas, the Ucas buzzword, which is MMIS 2022, if you're a Manarat and Medina student. And that way we can link your references, easily send your references to the Ucas system. There's something called Ucas Extra. So once you apply, you'll get a decision on whether you've got a conditional offer, an unconditional offer, or no offers at all. Unconditional offer is you're accepted, you don't have to do, you've got all the qualifications you need. Conditional offer means that they'll say, for example, you're accepted as long as you get 2 A's at A level. This would normally be said to someone who is actually studying A level. So you can you have a conditional offer. If you meet those conditions, you're accepted. If you don't have any offers, which can happen, then in February they have a system called Ucas Extra. You get to apply for places that weren't allocated to anybody. And then if you meet, when you get to the summer, and if you still haven't met your conditional offer, they have a process called clearing. So that's UK. USA, decentralized, like we said, but there are 3 systems in use, which are in California. If you're applying for universities in California State, they have one system. Check online about deadlines if that's of interest to you applying there. Common App is accepted by 900 or more than 900 US universities. Again, check the deadlines online because they change. They're different depending on the university. Check the university website. And UCA application system is used by 44 colleges. So you'll know which application system to use based on the university website. The school has an account on Common App, so we can easily send your references through to Common App. So don't worry about that. Okay. Next, this is really the key important thing that we need to speak about, which is the personal statement. Grades are not everything. When you go to apply for university, the admissions officer wants to see the likelihood of you being successful on their course. And sometimes having good grades at school doesn't say that. It doesn't say that. It doesn't tell the admission officer that you will be a successful student. So the personal statement is I'll come to your question a little bit later, Manira. The personal statement shows what type of rounded student you are. It's a big support of your university application. You can get on a course with not particularly strong grades if you have an absolutely amazing personal statement. Because it shows a bigger story. It shows why you're studying this field. It shows why you're suitable for this field. It shows what you've done to gain experience that's related to the course that you want to study. How do you write it? Well, we have a lovely video from Ucas on how to go about writing a personal statement. And although it's from Ucas, the principles can be applied to personal statements from other national systems. So I'm going to play this video and turn my camera off.
It's decision time. Those exams will be over, and then what? What's next? Sixth form? College? Apprenticeship? Whatever you decide, at some stage you're going to have to write a personal statement. As you've probably never written anything like this before, it's scary. Well, nobody knows you better than you know yourself. You have the opportunity to show that this is absolutely the right decision for you, and you're going to thrive at it whatever you're applying for. So you've got to start thinking about what makes you stand out in a good way. I'm Jane Marshall. I work with students helping them to write their applications, and that means I spend my life reading personal statements. I read lots of them, and I mean lots. I know what makes a good personal statement and what makes a bad personal statement. You have to remember that everybody is unique. There are lots of ways to go about it. This should get you well on the way to writing an excellent personal statement. So, where do you start? Well, the first thing you need to do is start getting words down on that blank sheet of paper. Loads of them, whatever you can think of. Why do you want to do whatever it is you're applying for? What is it that gets you excited about it? What floats your boat? Be excited, be positive, don't be negative. Don't say something like, I want to do this course because lots of my friends are doing it, because that's not positive. Focus on the positives and forget your friends. You can write a different personal statement for each application, so think in detail about each of your applications. Whether you're applying to a training provider, an employer, a college or a school, explain why you'd fit in and what you'd bring to the mix. Check the Ucas Progress website or their own websites to see what they're after in their applicants, the entry requirements, the skills, whatever they're looking for. Explain why you're applying for whatever it is you're applying for. Are you doing it now and you want to study it more? Is it something new? You're fascinated by it and you're thinking, that needs to be a part of my future. It's fine if you don't know exactly what you want to do in the long run, as long as you can demonstrate that you've really thought about your decisions and you've thought about what you want to do now. Tell them how you got excited about what you're applying for. Did you get inspired at school? Did you then go to an open day or a careers event or talk to somebody or do something that made you think, wow, I'm going to do that? That's the kind of thing they're looking for. Then you can get some detail down, whether you've done some work experience, volunteering, a school project, a hobby, or some reading, all the things that back up your interest in whatever it is you're applying for. Throw those examples at the page. Get excited. Once you've written about whatever you're applying for, then you've got to start thinking about the skills you've got that will help you cope with it. That's stuff like communication, essay writing, practical skills, that sort of thing. You've got to start throwing more words at the page until something sticks. If you're getting stuck, ask your friends and family. They might be able to help you. Occasionally they don't. Avoid saying things like, my friends will tell you I'm very laid back. Think about what that says about you. Then think about what's exciting about you. What makes you unique? What makes you interesting and stand out? Remember, you may not think it's interesting, but somebody else will. You might like gaming, you might like gardening, you might like football. So will somebody else, so get that down on paper as well. But don't just say, I enjoy playing football. Say, I've enjoyed playing football for my school team for the past 4 years, and I really like the teamwork. It's motivated us to win most of our matches. But don't embellish too much and make sure you're telling the truth. So what do you do next? You've got this big sheet of paper with all these words on it, and you've got to get it into something resembling a personal statement. That means you've got to squash it. You've got to condense it. So you need to start off with a really punchy opening paragraph. This is where you tell them how incredibly excited you are about what you're applying for and that you really understand what it is you're getting yourself into. Then you move on to the middle paragraph. That's the chunky bit. That's the bit full of the details and the evidence to prove your interest in whatever it is you're applying for. You're also going to sprinkle in stuff about your skills and good qualities so they know you can actually do it. And there's your middle paragraph. Now we move on to the end bit, and that's the personal touch. This is the bit where you tell them you are unique. What shows a different side to your personality? You tell them all the things you're interested in that will help you fit in wherever you're applying to. So, what do you avoid? Well, the first thing is verbal diarrhea. You've got to keep focused. You haven't got time to waffle. So make sure you're being relevant about whatever it is you're applying for. That's really important. Other things to avoid: showing off. Don't be arrogant. It's absolutely fine to back yourself up using lots of relevant examples. That's good showing off. But don't do bad showing off. That's arrogance. Avoid flowery language. Keep it to plain English. They need to understand what you're actually trying to say. So avoid stuff like the honour and the privilege of a particular work experience. Just focus on plain English. Copying. Don't copy. They'll find out if you've copied and it'll make your application look really, really bad. So they're the things you should avoid. So just to recap, this personal statement. You've got to show them that you know what you've applied for. You've got to show them how excited you are. You've got to give examples. Make sure it's a combination of head and heart. Be authentic, be focused, but be enthusiastic. That's what they're looking for. You're not going to get it right on the first go, so start early and keep coming back to it. Different organisations have different deadlines. Check them. You'll get it right in the end, and eventually you'll have a great personal statement that tells them all about you.
There's a great bunch of resources on the Ucas website that I'll be showing you a little bit later. And that's one of the great videos from them.
It's decision.
Video. It's very nice. So when you're writing your personal statement, there's some groundwork you have to do. There's some. Oh, by the way, Khalid and Manira, we will get to your question at the end. I have written them down on my notepad. There's some introductory work that you need to do before you write your personal statement. Look at course descriptions, number one. Like we said, when we're selecting our university, we'll use course descriptions, perhaps, to find courses or universities that suit our interests more. And it goes the other way around as well. So when we're writing our personal statement, course descriptions will tell us what is going to be studied on the course. So you might want to brainstorm. Start in the middle with the course description. Things that bullet point what's on the course description. Expand out, okay, what skills are required, or experience or qualities are required to meet those things mentioned in the course description. Then you can brainstorm out again on how can you meet those skills and experience. Where have you got evidence that you've demonstrated those skills, those qualities? What jobs have you done? What volunteering activities, trainings that you've been on? As I'm mentioning the word volunteering here, wondering if there's volunteer opportunities for non-Arab students here. It's a good question. There is a national website for signing up for volunteering activities. In your local community, you may find something, but also these events which are about awareness. There was a walking event for the Arab leopard, snow leopard, sorry. Remembered the name in Arabic was in Medina. We had our walking event in recognition of this leopard to build awareness of the endangered species of these big cats. So there are different things that you can do. But volunteering, you might be in school and you have a student council and you're involved with arranging activities in school, running a club in school, arranging an event like we have students in our senior school when we had the World Children's Day, joining us in the mall and supporting in the park when we had those events. So there are volunteering activities that you could do in your different locations. So what things can you do to prove that? I hope that answers your question, Mariam. What different things can you show to evidence that you have these qualities? And the other groundwork thing that you should do is check the word count, because you're going to have to say all this in a limited space. For UCAS, it's 4,000 characters. Then you get writing. Like the lady said in the video, you're going to start by introducing yourself, mention why you want to study the course, mention why you want to study in the country if you're going to a different country. When you mention why you want to study the course and you talk about what makes you suitable for the course, automatically you will fulfill this point of show that you understand what the course involves. That will happen because you're showing how you meet the things and meet the objectives of the course. Now, in Ucas, you might be using the same personal statement to apply to 1 or 2 or 3 courses. You might not be only applying for 1. So you have to keep that in mind. You may have to make a personal statement which is slightly more general, based on the fact that you might use it. For example, you might be applying for civil engineering as a first choice, but electrical engineering as a second choice. So there are similarities which you can talk about, but don't make it so specific that you're alienating one of the courses, your second choice. You can also, in your personal statement, explain circumstances that maybe caused you to perform not so well in school. You can explain that in your personal statement and justify it. And maybe your justification shows that you have some exceptional aspects to your character. Now, there is a resource which you can get from me, or you can get from the guidance counsellor, student counsellor in the girls section, the personal statement worksheet and template. We want you to be working on this in grade 11, and the teachers, with by liaising with the guidance counsellor, will get your personal statement checked by either checking it in themselves or get it checked by the members of the English department to make sure that you have a great personal statement. We can't write the personal statement for you, but we can see your plan, we can see your draft, we can help you with what you need to edit in your draft. So make sure you get this template from me if you are writing a personal statement. Another one of the forms that might help you when writing a personal statement is the guidance counsellor information form. I'll speak about that a little bit later when we talk about references. But when you start writing down, and we want you to be writing this again in grade 11, when you start writing down in your guidance counsellor information form things about in-school activities you've done and other activities you've done and jobs and societies and things about your character, you might start to think about the sort of things that you're going to want to mention in your personal statement. And that brings us nicely to getting references. References often come from either the guidance counsellor in the school, which for college applications in our school, in Manarat Al Medina, for the boys section, it's currently me. In the girls section, it's the student counsellor. And so we will be writing a reference. Good question, Jemana. Is a personal statement a must, or is it needed for all universities? Some systems don't require a personal statement. For example, if you're applying on the Common App for US, they give you 1 of 7 essay prompts, but what is in the essay prompts is very similar to the sort of thing that you'd write in a personal statement. So no, not all universities require a personal statement. Some do require a motivation statement. But like we say, with all of these things, do your research and make sure you know what is required in the different universities you want to apply to. And yes, a British college student will accept an SAT student. British college will accept an SAT student, yes. So getting references, you'll get one from your guidance counsellor, and you might get one from teachers. Now, to get a reference, key things to remember is you need to inform the person that you'll be using as reference that you need it. Tell them the course that you're applying for, and tell them what you want them to mention about you. Now, in the school, we make this easy for you to do by having the college guidance counsellor information form. Everything that I put in your reference will be normally based on this, because we see many students. I know you all, but I don't know you all in the detail that I need to write a reference. And so that's why in grade 11, we'll start filling in this form because it tells us very deeply about everything that you're doing in terms of in-school activities, what universities you're applying to and why, even what countries you're applying to and why, activities you're doing outside the school, sports activities, clubs, Quran lessons, travel that you have been on, and summer camps and programs, and also you as a person. This will really help us to write your guidance counsellor reference. Also for the teachers, so when you request your teacher reference, there's a form to fill in, again, with the guidance counsellor. Come and say, I need a reference for whichever university it is. We'll fill in this form, mentioning your university name, type of application, how it has to be submitted if it's Common App or something else, and which teacher has to do it. And we will follow up that the teacher submits the reference in the way that you need. So those are the guidelines for how to get references. It's very simple, and those forms make it a very easy thing to do. Some useful resources I want to share with you, and this website, I love it because it gathers information about, and I'll come to your question in a minute, so actually I'll come to it now. Colleges all over the world accept international qualifications. That's what we can say generally. Check the colleges which you're interested in. But yes, US colleges do accept students from British system. British colleges accept students from the SAT system, and wider than that as well. All of these qualifications are accredited, so they meet a standard. So yeah, they accept them all. Okay. This one here, General Advice for Studying Abroad, lovely website. Let me open it up in Safari. It gathers information on studying all over the place, Canada, India, lots of information. You have to get an account on this website, but it's free. So I'm going to post that link in the chat. Really useful website for information on how to apply in different countries. And information is grouped by country, things about personal statements, things about finances, things about scholarships, really useful. The other useful resource I wanted to share with you is Get Schooled. This is specifically for American applications. Again, you need an account, but it's a useful resource if you're looking to apply to the US. Another one here, this is just actually one article, but I liked it so much that I saved the link. And this is the person that asked about personal statements. When I answered, I said that we have essay prompts with the Common App when you're applying for American universities. So this website just has some lovely, concise advice about how to tackle the essays that you do in the Common App. Another resource is the Ucas website. We mentioned it. We took that video earlier, you'll remember, from the Ucas website, and that's on how to make personal statements. So I'll post that in chat as well. And this one, be careful. I'm sharing it with you because I am hoping that everyone is responsible. These are sample personal statements, 2,000 sample personal statements by subject. It's a really useful resource, but like we said, you have to be careful not to plagiarize. Get a feel for the personal statement by reading these, but be very careful that you don't end up copying something, because at the end of the day, your application is showing that you are suitable for university, and in university, they run your papers through a plagiarism checker, and if you plagiarize this paper, you won't pass that module. And so if you plagiarize your personal statement, they will know. If you copy your personal statement, they will know, and that will be bad. So don't do it. And the last resource I wanted to share with you is, it's the same website actually, the same website that has the personal statement advice, also has advice on doing a US college, this US college application guide, very useful. So those are some of the online resources. Now, in the school, how are we supporting you to apply to university? Now, in grade 10, and you can start this process before, but in grade 10, what I want every grade 10 student to do is fill in their high school student profile. What this does is this gives us the beginning of a framework of how we're going to support you. A lot of the research you're going to do, but we will guide you, and if you get stuck, we'll help you with that research. So the high school student profile, which you fill in grade 10, and if you've not filled it in before, fine, fill it in now if you're in an older grade. You're going to start listing down which countries you want to study at and which courses you're interested in, basic stuff. And based on that, you will go and research the entry requirements. That's it. So that's the start of the journey. We need to find out what the entry requirements are of the universities that you're interested in. The second piece of paper, I've introduced this to you before, is we're around about grade 11, and we can start working on it in grade 10 as well. And you'll work on this throughout the 4 high school grades, perhaps, is the college guidance counselor form. Now, this, not only does it give us information on what we need to write your reference, but also you're going to start seeing gaps that you have. And so, for example, if I know I need to get in, if I'm grade 11, I'm filling in my box here for what activities, clubs, events, and productions I've been involved in inside school, and I didn't write anything. I know that would help my university application, then it notifies me that, okay, I need to start working on something now. So this is useful for you in terms of getting ready for the entry requirements and for writing your personal statement. We will keep a record. Yeah, absolutely. You'll get all the forms. We'll keep a record of every meeting we have, so that whenever we meet to discuss your university aspirations, we have some actions. Some of the actions will be for you, some of the actions will be for me. And so we'll decide those actions together. So that's how we support you and go on that journey with you. Like I mentioned before, your personal statement, get the worksheet from me, and then we will help with checking the personal statement. Canada, does it accept SAT and IGCSE? We will need to research specifically Canada. On the top of my head, I'm saying yes, but I don't want to give you a definitive answer if I haven't read it clearly. I believe yes. Yes, they do. Canada, SAT, yes. IGCSE, it's assumed yes, but we'll have to do the research. Sorry, Jemana, if that doesn't answer your question. Checking your personal statement. Entrance test support. So right now we're doing SAT lessons after school. So that's how we're supporting that entrance test support. Next week, inshallah, I will do a orientation on SAT and how to get your best score based on some of the research I've done over the last year on SAT and how to improve your SAT score. The other thing that will help you is by having rigorous curriculum. The curriculum in the Ma'arif schools is a curriculum that develops your thinking skills and makes you ready for college. There are other schools which perhaps have a easier curriculum, but it won't make you ready for success at college. And so that's why having a rigorous curriculum is important. Yes, Khalid, so your question, Manira's, I've put on my notepad to answer at the end. In Manarat, anyway, you have the accredited American diploma, and in other Ma'arif schools, you have your external examinations, and so that's how we support you in that. Next steps then, we're going to fill in those forms together. So you need to start your research on where and what you want to study. Start working on your personal statement if you need it. And I've got the worksheet for that, and also have that first guidance session so that we can start working together to get ready for university and get ready for any required assessments. And I've shown you all the forms that support that. Now, the questions I'll do questions, but there's 2 questions here. After I finish IG in 9-10, can I change to SAT? Now, the best thing for you, Khalid, is to ask your school, or at least the school you're intending to go to. If you're already in an IG school and you're looking to go in an SAT school, because they will have experience with accepting students who have come from other systems. I know in Medina, in Marat Medina, yes, you can. If you've completed IG and you want to get the American diploma, yes. But it may be different in the school that you're going to, whichever location you're in. So check with the school. Check with the school, inshallah. But I know in Marat Medina, we have students who started in, actually, even in UK in grade 9, and on their high school transcript, we just convert their grades, okay? Munira mentioned, is it a must to do SAT if I want to study abroad? No, it's not. And a third, like I said, a third of universities are SAT optional. However, it may be that you will have a stronger application if you do SAT, if you don't have anything else. So the good idea is to get in touch with the universities that you want to apply to see what they consider valuable. Is it possible to finish A-levels in a year? Good question. Actually, I did that when I showed you my first slide about me changing my mind all the time. I actually needed an A-level when I went to university the second time, and yeah, I did AS and A-level and sat them in the same summer. So yeah, it is possible to do A-level in 1 year. It's very challenging. I had nothing else to do, so that's why I was able to do it. But is that the same person, Lama? And yes, you can do it after you graduate. Yeah, I did my A-level, my 5th A-level when I was 24. So yeah, you can. Yeah. I will share the forms with your school leaders, so maybe they have their own versions of it, inshallah. So I'll make a note to share forms. Okay, I'd be very grateful. 2 great questions. Yeah, are AP tests needed for universities? No, AP tests, their value is more in counting as college credit. So they count as they're university level courses, so they count as college credit. But does an AP test, does an AP qualification make you a stronger candidate? Absolutely. So even if AP is not required, it definitely makes you a strong candidate who can prove that they're ready for a college level course. And there are some universities for some courses, especially the more competitive courses, that do require you to have 2 AP qualifications. But like I said, with all these things, do your research, check the requirements of the university. Same with this question from Imad, is AS sufficient for university? It can be, but check the requirements of the university you're interested in. Is it possible to take AP tests here? There are many testing centres which are open to external candidates. So yes, it is. And there are testing centres in Ma'arif, has testing centres in the kingdom where you can take your AP. As a final feedback, I would be grateful if you can click the form. If you have any further questions, you are welcome to, because I know we've gone for an hour now. So if you have any further questions, you're welcome to contact me on Teams. Just enter my name into Teams, send me a message. If you're in Marat Medina, my extension is 666, my email is there. Be grateful if you could scan the QR code on your phone and leave some feedback about this webinar. That will help me to make the webinar better next time for your younger schoolmates. So please fill in that. Like I say, any further questions, because we've answered quite a few in the chat now, send them to me privately. Always happy to answer questions, and I hope that this has been beneficial, and all the best in your college aspirations. Will there be more meetings like these? The next meetings will be one-on-one. We will meet you to give you that one-on-one guidance, and next week there will be a SAT orientation about how to do well in the SAT and what is SAT, what's it made of. So there's that, but for the guidance of regarding university, it'll be one-on-one. So yeah, thank you very much. I'll leave this page up when I'm going to turn off my mic and my camera and say goodbye to you all. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for listening. I hope that this has been a benefit to you all. Please leave feedback on that form, and I will post the link of the form actually in the chat if I can get it. No, I'm going to have to ask you to use the QR code because I can't work out how to copy it. I know what I need to do. Let's go here, copy, pasting that in the chat, paste. Did that work? Nope, didn't work. Okay, you'll have to use the QR code. Okay.